ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Meet the Candidates this evening. We have 25 candidates that have turned up, some apologies, which I'll run through later. So it's a good turnout, very good turnout indeed. Okay, so first of all, I'll just run through the format, and what I'd like to do is introduce to you my co-partner tonight, and that's Graham Adams from Great Power there, who will be sounding the bell. When you hear the bell goes, that will be after 2.5 minutes of the 3-minute presentations, and then again at 3 minutes, so everybody gets exactly the same time. My name is Dave Hill, by the way, and I'm from the Ratepayers Association. So we'd also like to thank other people for their support in putting on this evening tonight, and that is the Whanganui District Council for the hall hire and support staff. Thank you very much for that, and Michelle in the front row. The Rotary Club South for organising the parking out the front, and the Wanganui Chronicle for advertising support. Now, Council have generously agreed to record the event this evening, and this will be uploaded on the Council website and also the Chronicle website as well. So if you know of anybody who's missed it or couldn't make it, they can view the whole proceedings or the whole evening on those websites there. Tonight's event is free. However, if you do wish to contribute to the organisations who have made this event happen, there will be a gold coin donation box near the door when you exit. Now, a safety briefing, we have to do the housekeeping, of course. I'll just read this out. It is a non-smoking venue. Ashtrays are provided outside the front in the forecourt. Toilets are located on the lower floor near the main entrance. And remember, there is an alcohol ban, so no drinking. Okay. And we have water in our glasses, in case you're wondering. In the unlikely event of an emergency, a siren will sound continuously. If there's a fire, leave immediately by the nearest exit and assemble in the forecourt in front of the museum. If the emergency is an earthquake, do not attempt to leave the building until the shaking is stopped. Drop, cover and hold, and keep away from glass and hanging pendant lights in the upper foyer and main hall. Okay, that's about all. There is a defibrillator located in the lower foyer to the left of the front entrance, and for God's sake, please don't require me to do that tonight. Okay, so we'll continue in the format of tonight. First up, what we'll have very shortly is the mayoral address. Our mayor, who has been elected, unopposed, not yet Hamish, very soon, will give a 5-minute address, and then we'll meet the candidates. So we have the first group of 14 up on stage here, and the second group, I think there's about 11 down on the front seats down here, who will be coming up in after the first lot have finished here. As I said, they get 3 minutes each to state the reason why they're standing, what they think the main issues are, what benefits they can bring to council and the district. That's what we've suggested. What they do is up to these people here. It might be something entirely different. It will be entertaining. The second group will swap places with the first group with the same format. Once again. The entire presentation will be concluded. Hello, Philippa. Will be concluded by 8 o'clock, and then we'll be stopping for a short break, a comfort break. And then there will be a general question and answer session as well. I'm sure a lot of you have questions you would like to ask the candidates. You can either ask them as a group, and I will endeavour to get somebody to answer on your behalf, or you can pick somebody up that you specifically want to ask a question of. Questions will be invited from the floor, and I will pick at random a candidate to answer. If you don't want any particular person to answer, I will pick a candidate to answer on your behalf and try and give everybody an equal chance to answer a question. So that's it. Let's start tonight's presentation with an address from Wanganui's Mayor, elected unopposed. Put your hands together for Hamish Mitchell.
I want to thank the Ratepayers Association for organising this evening, and in particular for inviting me. While I'm very pleased and honoured to be returned as your mayor, I felt a little bit on the sidelines this election. I don't miss the billboards or the soapboxes or the pamphlets, but I haven't been able to justify the decisions of the last 3 years to the public, nor set out my aims for the next 3. I've only got 5 minutes, so I'll concentrate on the latter. I will set out my priorities, what I want to achieve, but one's got to remember that I'm only one vote around the table of 13. So you've got some work to do as well. We have 29 people presenting themselves for election, and please put the effort into choosing wisely. In this training, we've been blessed with a variety of voices and views around the table, and I'd be happy if many of my colleagues were returned. But in choosing a group, I encourage you also to look at ethnic, gender and age diversity. It would be great to have a young mum on council, or a genuine Maori voice, for example. My mantra 3 years ago was to grow Wanganui sustainably while preserving what we value. I think we've achieved that. However, growth brings challenges, and that is why one of my key priorities is investigating a wider strategy to establish how and how big we will grow in the future. We should plan for 50,000 in this district, definitely. But what about 55,000? What about 60,000? What does that mean for our infrastructure, for our housing provision, for our traffic, for our environment? Do we keep championing our boutique manufacturers, or do we look at how we can add value to the rural economy, or both? What about tourism? What about arts? What about sports? Where do those things play? Growth has meant that housing is the immediate concern, and it isn't at all correct that council has no jurisdiction here. I intend to retain our pensioner housing portfolio and to work with housing providers around social and emergency housing, as what I'm already doing. And working to alter the guidelines around change of use will enable residential accommodation above Victoria Avenue shops to make our CBD safer and busier. People want to live downtown. Another priority is climate change. It was a key priority last time I stood, but I haven't, to be honest, had the numbers to get the dedicated climate change resource council that I wanted. This year I will be pushing for every council decision to have a climate change lens placed over it. We must talk about adaptation to what is an inevitable alteration in our weather, in our flora, in our fauna, in the way we live. And we must look at what we as a community in general and the council in particular can do in mitigation. A further priority is water. I will resist calls to amalgamate our water services that are being suggested by some neighbouring councils. Why should we subsidise other districts' water services when Wanganui Ratepayers have already paid for an extremely good potable water system and a wastewater scheme? And I intend to pressure horizons to make sure our premier swimming spots like Lake Wirratoa and the Whanganui stream are swimmable. Producing our nation's food shouldn't mean a consequent degradation of the environment. There are other things that I don't have time to say anything but a sketch. I'll say them. I'll continue seeking government money for things like the Port Rover revitalisation, for the velodrome. We'll be launching the Whanganui Bridge in January next year when the ground conditions are dry enough. I will continue to advocate for bureaucracy to move here. What about the Department of Stats? And seeking small changes to resource management with big effects as well. I'll be reinvigorating community awards now that the Trustpower Awards have ceased. I'll be improving bus services in conjunction with Horizons, completing the Fitzherbert Ave extension and advocating for the Levin bypass because it will be transformative for us to be less than 2 hours away from Wellington. As for rates, we have in our 10-year plan budgeted a 3.6% rates rise next year. This will have an increase because we've brought the port expenditure forward. But the years after that, the next 2 years, are under 2%. And I intend to keep those increases as low as possible in the out years by increasing the dividend from the pilot academy to represent Council's bold and brave decision to invest in that industry, and hasn't that been successful? Lastly, I will continue to represent Wanganui with passion and energy and gravitas. I'm comfortable with the media. I chair a good meeting, I think, and I'm fairly ready access to the corridors of power, although that seems to be diminishing recently. Most importantly, I can build a team, as I did 3 years ago, from the 12 people that you deliver to be our decision makers. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you very much, Hamish. It's time to meet the candidates now, all and every one of them, apart from a few apologies. We have Charlie Anderson, who elected not to attend tonight, Hadley Reid, who is overseas, Graham Fothergill, who has had an asthma attack, probably with nerves being here tonight, and I also have a message that has just come in from Kiri Tahi Furman, and she has asked me to read it out, and I will, because she would like to pass in her apologies for not being here tonight. And she says her sincere apologies, she cannot attend this week in person. She's attending an ACC clinical conference in Auckland over the next 2 days. She said, like my fellow candidates, I'm passionate about the well-being of our community, which is why I'm standing for the Council and the DHP. Keeping a focus on the basic needs of communities requires courage from us, and I believe that the best way our Council and DHP can contribute to the well-being of our communities is to focus on performing our core services well. Rates is our continual concern because our rates fund the Council. We want to see bangs for our bucks. As an advocate for our community, our people, our place, I'm a candidate that is level-headed, who knows how to prioritise needs over the nice-to-haves, who respects the considerable contributions from ratepayers, and who will work hard towards an equitable rating system that is affordable for all of us. And as I said, that's from Kiri Tahi Furman. Okay, now we introduce the candidates, and these are in no particular order. They are actually as they just came in, and we registered in them on the registration paper. So first up, in 3 minutes, is Matthew Urey.
Tēnā koutou katoa, kumaki te whenua, o whanganui te awa. Over the next couple of weeks, you have a decision to make, not just between 12 people, but between 12 different ideas for our city. What the naysayers don't understand is this election has never been about us, it's been about you, our ratepayers. For the past few months, you have stood up and said enough to the politics of the past. You understand that in this election, the greatest risk we can take is to try to make the same old politics with the same old players and expect a different result. You have said that defining moments like this one, the change we need doesn't come from Wanganui, it comes to Wanganui. Because people demand it, because we stand up and insist on bringing new ideas to the table. I'm asking 3 years for 3 promises only. Number 1, to fight for the rights for all citizens of Wanganui, including our farmers. To respect for ideas and values of all cultures, not just 1 or 2. And number 3, to open the books and have a full financial report done on our rates and what we are spending. You know, one voice can change a room. And if it can change a room, it can change the city. Let us together come together as one for the future of our city. Let us move together with common sense and look for a brighter future together. Thank you.
Well done, Matthew, and all in 3 minutes. Joe Meikle John.
Thank you for your attendance tonight. I am Joe Meikle John. We live in a community that is living beyond its means, and the long-term plan indicates that this is going to continue. By June 2020, our debt will be $124 million, with a projected payback of 9% of that per year. More big spends are coming. Yep, they're going to attract a 61% subsidy, maybe. We're still waiting for approval for the Wakefield Bridge. Those big spends are the Dublin Street Bridge, $33.3 million in projected cost in 2018. By the time we get to it, you can assure there will be a blowout. You've got the Wakefield Bridge of $1.9 million. We still haven't got subsidies from that, from NZTA, plus the Rural Ernie Bridge and a cost overrun on the Upakanaro Bridge. What else is going to come in the next 3 years? Our plans state that we must live within our means, and our key financial limit is less than 200% debt of our total revenue. Are you willing to accept that? This incoming council will have tough decisions to make on behalf of the community, and we also have another long-term plan due in 2021. These decisions will not be popular. I have not stood on any particular issue because I champion the community. The council's oath, when sworn in, is one of duty and impartiality. Changes to the way that the council does decision-making is going to have to happen. Earlier this year, the four well-beings came into place, and that is that council has to promote social, economic, environmental and cultural issues. But what does the word promote say? To promote by providing financial assistance, or promote by assisting development by providing resource. Each definition has a different cost to council, and the only thing that's going to save us from going off airy-fairy is the Rating Act. Your next council needs to be impartial. Decisions will need to be based on facts, questions. You need to ask the outcomes and even request evidence. They need to work as a team of different minds, offering different ideas and alternative solutions. I can provide those skills and to match and to create a balance, ensuring that our community outcomes are the best and fiscally responsible. I offer the concepts of affordability, common sense, and I have the experience. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Legal Job. Steve Barron.
Wanganui's had it pretty tough over the last 5 or 6 years. Our council's incurred a hell of a lot of debt through flooding, earthquake strengthening, a new wastewater treatment plant, a new dog pound, port revitalisation, and planning for our future with the flight training school. Some of these projects are finished, some of them haven't even started, but it's important we get them finished for our future. But that's incurred a huge amount of debt for the ratepayers of Wanganui. Soul of the earth people who really do care about what happens in their community. But I believe the burden's become far too great, and enough's enough. If you've got to balance your budgets out there, so too should this council. So, like Martin Luther King, I too have a dream. I have a dream of a council that's prepared to focus on reducing debt and reducing rates. And I have a dream of a council that's prepared to do what it's got to do. It's got to make some tough decisions. Because I can tell you, as I walked up here past some of these councillors, I could smell the next rate rise on their breath. So I have a dream of a council that's prepared to make some tough decisions. Because everyone wants their rates to reduce, but nobody wants to give up the services or the community assets that they use. Far too often the NIMBYs win out, jumping up and down, ranting and raving, and councillors run them on. So I have a dream of a council that's prepared to do what's best for the whole of Wanganui, and not just for the outspoken. So my promise to you is to focus on reducing debts and reducing rates. My promise to you is to stay in touch with the community and listen to what you've got to say, and to use the common sense that I've gained from a lifetime of being in business, and to be committed to doing the best job that I can possibly do. Now, I realise I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I annoy the hell out of some people. I annoy the hell out of some of these councillors too. But at the end of the day, you're never going to die wondering what I think about an issue. And someone's got to keep the buggers honest and on their toes. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Steve Barron, and I'd really like you to vote this election so I can make a difference. Thank you for your time, thank you for coming out this evening, and thank you for caring about Wanganui.
And our next candidate is Roger Anderson.
G'day everybody. Steve stole a lot on my subjects, but never mind. 12 months ago, if you asked me if I was be standing here, I would have said, no way. However, I walked into the nice new council building entranceway several months ago, walked in there and thought, what a waste of money. Sure, it looks nice. Nice big interactive screen which you walk up to, touch it and it does everything. Except it doesn't. No one knows how to use it. So they have a nice lady standing beside it to show us how to use it. My question is, why not just ask the lady? No need for the screen. That is one point. Another one is probably 25 years ago when they started doing up Main Street. Nice cobblestones, nice guttering, nice gardens, nice little trees planted in the gardens. Did anyone like me look at those trees and say, I can see a problem there in a few years' time? Trees have this funny habit of growing. So the time is now. The trees are growing. The cobblestones are raising up because of the tree growth. The nice concrete curbing is cracking because of the tree growth. Yes, the council is repairing it. They're getting in there, cutting down the trees, pulling them out the stumps, pulling up the cobblestones, taking away the broken curbing. We're smoothing the ground out again, putting the cobblestones down, putting in new curbing. At what cost? I have no idea. After they've done all the work, made it all nice and pretty looking again, what is the last thing they did? Planted another bloody tree. Thank you.
Combat climate change.
Okay, Ray Brightwell.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. I've got a few problems happening out at Castle Way. I've been there for all my life, pretty much lived at North Street Beach next to the North Mole, and I've seen the degradation, if you like, of the port and the moles over the years. And you know, we're almost at the point where they're almost past saving, so we have to start again. One of the focuses that I have this time on council is just to learn about the procedures and the processes that have given us some pretty lousy results over the years. You know, I'm a tradesman from way back, and I pride myself on some practical solutions. My main focus for this 3 terms, if I can get on, is to just ask the council to reconsider their latest draft plan for the port. I don't know how many of you have seen the picture, okay? But when there's a port rejuvenation or a port regeneration thing going on, and the first thing I noticed are cafes and swimming beaches and bobbing boards and people out swimming in the basin, I wonder how serious we can be. You've got to understand that we've already borrowed $12.5 million for the next stage of this port development. That can be matched with provincial funding, not the 12.5. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is we can have nearly $30 million to play with. And if this draft plan is anything to go by, we have to go back to the drawing board. Remember that the national government previously gave us $500,000 to develop a plan to develop the port. It said nothing about a theme park, nothing about a wellness area, okay? Industry is the thing that's going to drive this town. As soon as we get the port up and running, we can have shiploads of wellness coming into Wanganui. And then we can export it here. It's not a problem. I'm all for things like, the velodrome is a no-brainer. It should have been covered when it was first built. It would have been a darn sight cheaper. I'm for that. But my primary focus, I promise you, for the next 3 years, is to get this port plan rejigged so that we have something to be proud of, that we have something that we can draw outside industry to use. I don't have any problem at all with another boat building firm the size of Due West coming to town. Did you know that the latest or the biggest boats built on this coast in the last few months, last few years, have all been built downtown Palmerston North? Work that out. Shipped out to Palmerston, to Foxton Beach in 2 halves put together and sailed out through that river mouth. That shouldn't be happening.
And next up we have Ross Fallon.
Good evening, Wanganui. I cannot give you my mihi in just 3 minutes. That's a European thing, and I would rather follow the iwi. To our kamatuas, a rangatahi, and a wano, I will say tēnā koutou, e tēnei ahi ahi, aroha mai. My profile is in your envelope. My advertising is in our press. My community topics, and there are a lot, because I talk a lot, is on my Facebook page. And I answer questionnaires, and I've been to all bar one meeting that our community has asked of me. Wanganui, we are in for further major financial challenges over the next few years. We know this. We are growing fast. Those pressures are upon us now. We are now a destination of choice. And we need to look at electing those who can focus on the bigger picture of tight fiscal planning and which provides real income and rates relief over wish lists. A pre-election report is required for all councils and is prepared by the council's chief executive. And I quote, Kim Fell stated, "It is important to have people around the table who are prepared to make tough decisions when necessary. They need at times to be willing to make unpopular decisions for the greater good of our district. There are tough decisions ahead, especially around levels of service and affordability. And this is important," he said, "and having the courage to stop projects which add little value to our community." These are his experienced words. They are not mine. You elected 7 new councillors in 2016, and the sky did not fall, but your confidence did. There are 12 positions available in Wanganui, not 2. Public confidence in the Mayor and councillors, whom I respect, in our own March survey dropped from 59% to just 54%, and the goal they set themselves was just 50%. It takes 7 votes to get any motion passed. It is a consensus vote, regardless if you have faith in a visionary, an eco-warrior, a rate saviour, or a repackaged Michael Laws. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Our bright future has in fact added financial challenges ahead. There will be many more millions around the Dublin Bridge replacement, piping infrastructure, roading, and binding environmental commitments from central government. Look, it's always about rates. Rates are just like rats with an added E. We do not want it, we do not like it, but like vermin, we seek to limit it. Rates cover debts past, current costs, and investment with risk for our future. We are now at the time of robbing Peter to pay Pauline, or borrow more millions under the crafty words that is good for our future. There is good news, but let those who are willing to make the tough decisions. Thank you, Wanganui.
Prasad Vijeswar, or I hope I got the pronunciation right. Let's call him VJ instead. Okay.
Thank you. Namaste. Kia ora. And a warm Pacific greetings. I'm Vijeswar Prasad. I was born in Nani, Fiji, in the farming communities. My parents were very poor, and I can understand what hardship is. I studied in Fiji and gained my degree in accounting, economics, administration, and education. That is in University of the South Pacific. I taught in Fiji, and before leaving New Zealand in 1999, I was a vice principal for large secondary school. I migrated to New Zealand on 1st April 1989. I did not have the money to pay for my airline tickets, so I had to borrow it from my friends. Started teaching at YP College in Levin from 4th April 1989. My wife and 2 daughters joined me after 4 months. My youngest daughter was 7 years old, and we maintained our identity. We can speak English, Hindi, and a little bit of Fijians, and understand the Maori protocols. I also taught at Ngātawa and Rangitikei College. We settled in Wanganui in 1992. My daughters studied at Wanganui Girls College, and then they went to Mass University and Auckland University. Why have we chose Wanganui? Wanganui is a good place to bring up children. Wanganui is a place where you can see brightness. You can see Wanganui grow. As Mayor said, that the numbers will increase. My both daughters got married in Wanganui, and especially in this fall. Indian wedding is big, and we had about 1,500 guests. They all came to Wanganui. My eldest daughter is a senior nurse at Wellington Hospital, and my youngest daughter is a senior financial advisor for the New Zealand Super in Auckland. So as you can see, people coming from or migrating, they can see a purpose in staying in a smaller place. It's a good place to bring up your children. Why I'm running for election? Wanganui is a beautiful place, as I've said. What we need is accountability and transparency, and that is why people are here to see what our council can offer, so that we can reflect on diversity of our community by creating a welcoming and diverse environment. This will allow people to see their differences. The most important thing for Wanganui is that we have to have a good public transport, make Wanganui an e-city by encouraging cycling, advertise and promote new businesses to operate in Wanganui. If businesses employ our youths, then council should provide some sort of incentive, just like giving rights to rebate, so that people can come in. Thank you very much. Don't forget, vote for the staff.
Thank you. Next up, Mary Bennett.
Kia ora koutou. Ko Ngārauru, Kitai, ko Tupare Toa, ko Mokai Pātia, ko Te Ati Haunui a Pāpārani ngā iwi. Ko Henry Bennett, rawa ko Agnes Tiki o Ki Matua, ko Mary Bennett aha. So I whakapapa to Ngārauru, so South Taranaki, to Tupare Toa, to Mokai Pātia, so around the Taipei region, Rangitike, to the other. Te Ati Haunui a Pāpārani to Wanganui. Henry Bennett and Agnes Tiki were my parents, and my name is Mary Bennett. Thank you to those who have organised this evening, and thank you to all of you for tuning out this evening. I need to acknowledge our queer who lies in state in Maxwell, awaiting a journey to her resting place tomorrow. I can't be there for karakia this evening in acknowledging and sharing her life and joy. Moe mai rā e koe. What do I stand for? I stand for diversity, for voice, for a different perspective. I believe we need diversity on the council, cultural and community diversity. I believe we need more community representation and voice. I believe we need a wider variety of views and to consider issues from a different perspective. I believe that iwi and communities have a critical role in charting our future. Collaboration is key. I am committed to connecting with communities and finding those with the passion, the vision, and the courage to make things happen. The areas I will focus on are housing, jobs, and youth facilities. Finding and implementing short, medium, and long-term solutions to our housing issues is a priority. Lobbying central government for policy change and much-needed resource is something tangible the Council can do. At a local level, the Council can work alongside community partners to find ways to make the system and criteria easier to navigate and meet in appropriate ways. What changes does the Council need to consider and adopt in order to better meet the needs of the community? We need jobs. Growth across our district must take that into account and bring opportunities for local employment. Our youth are our future. They are creative, they are passionate, they are committed, they are future focused. I believe our youth need a space where they can come together to hang out, somewhere they can make use of their skills to inspire, be innovative and support each other's growth. I am Mary Bennett and I hope to receive your vote to be on the Council. Kia ora.
Our next candidate is James Barron.
Good evening, Ratepayers, Wanganui, Denzians looking online. If you are looking online, my name is James Barron, B-A-R-R-O-N. I'll give you a bit of my background. I'm 52 years old, just under 30 years consulting, putting in IT systems. That's working with large government organisations, big private enterprise, delivering projects, putting them in and getting it right. That's working with different boards, different structures, and people from pay clerk level through to board level. I bring that to the table. I also bring my experience in Wanganui. We moved to Wanganui, there having been Wellington residents, moved to Wanganui initially thinking we were going to buy a batch because it was cheap here. We looked, at the time I was working with New Zealand Police, I looked on the records and discovered that contrary to expectations, Castleford was actually lower than average on most measures of crime, etc. And Wanganui was a lot lower than contrary to North Island expectations, lower on most measures as well. We moved here, we expected to have a batch. We found another place, so here we are. Now, my experience, the second lot of experience I bring to the table is my experience in Castleford. That has very much been about community. I think you would have to have been living under a rather large and thick rug to not realise that Castleford has changed. Now, what I want to tell you about that change is that it's been driven by people. There are some large or some characters out there, I guess I'm one. If you were reading yesterday's newspaper, you probably saw my plane. But it's not about that. It's about the engagement, about listening to people and bringing those thoughts in, because that's how you actually deliver change. And that's how you deliver change that people want, and that's how you deliver efficient change. If you don't listen to people, you get it wrong. I'll give you two little examples. If you've been out to the Citadel Cafe, I hope you have. I don't run it, but it's part of the blocking part of the change we've made out there in the library. If you come out to the Citadel Cafe, you'll notice Cliffy on the corner is made up of driftwood. The traditional approach to what things look like our Castleford would have said, Cliffy should be firewood and have a short life. Cliffy was named by people, and that's important because Cliffy has been untouched. That's changed. That's what I want to bring to Castleford, and that's what I ask for your vote to bring to Wanganui. Thank you. My name is James Barron. I hope you vote.
Thank you. The first of our current councillors, Alan Taylor.
Thank you, President Day. Now I can't get my notes to stick in. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Alan Taylor. This is the urban century. Increasingly, we are seeing a greater portion of the world's population living in cities. Cities make their own problems, and councils in large part have the duty of solving these. In the next 3 decades, we will be subject to the problems of growing urbanisation, compounded with the environmental challenges of global heating. This demands that councils act to ensure our urban environment changes to meet 3 major criteria. We must embrace livability. Our housing, streetscapes, parks, public buildings and art, and community activities must exude qualities that make people want to be alive and enjoy life. We must grasp more suitable concepts of mobility, because this is integral to livability. More than ever, people will want to move about and interact. This, in an era of climate change, and mitigation for it, will mean more and different appropriate forms of transport from those that most of us commonly use now. Cycling, ride-sharing, walking and public transport are likely to burgeon. And thirdly, we must embrace sustainability. Our horizontal and vertical infrastructure, health, housing and social behaviour have to be made resilient to what will be stressful changes. To get to this place, we will need to make extremely good decisions. Poor choices will be unbearably costly. Which brings me to the other subject I wish to raise. Good decisions are made upon a foundation of evidence and data. We are fortunate to be engulfed in data at every turn. Verifiable, robust data are invaluable. When councils make decisions on reliable evidence and data, they are less likely to make poor decisions, poor choices. Sadly, my observation is that this process has too often been abrogated. Prejudice, opinion and predetermination have trumped the call to consideration of fact-based analysis. That said, I have been fortunate to serve as Infrastructure and Emergency Management Committee Chair and a Resource Management Act Chairing Commissioner on a well-balanced and well-led council. I respectfully seek your mandate for a further term on a council that delivers for Wanganui.
Next up is current sitting councillor Jenny Duncan and Deputy Mayor.
Tēnā koutou for Jenny Duncan ka koe noa. So good evening everybody, thank you for coming out on this particularly windy night, and I'm really pleased it wasn't as bad as last night. And also thank you for your commitment to democratic process as well, because where would we be without our democracy? We'll have seen my flyer, and we've got the lovely page job and all that. So I'm not going to repeat everything that's on here, and if you want to know about some of my commitments, they'll be in Saturday's paper as well. So rather than do that, I'm going to just tell you a little bit more about who I am, so that you know who the heck you're voting for, because to me actions speak a little louder than promises. So as your Deputy Mayor, I'll serve 2 terms on Council and 2 on the District Council. I have I'm only standing for Council this time because I want to focus my attention on the things that are priorities for our community, and that's at all levels. I'm a chartered accountant, I've got a Masters in Business, I'm an Institute of Directors, I'm a Resource Management Commissioner and Chair as well. I've served on the Community Foundation, Chair of the Chamber of Commerce. I've done a heck of a lot of those things within our community. I'm also a business owner and a local landlord. So I've got a whole wealth of experience around both governance, business and community. I was born here, even though my Scots bones go back 6 generations, and I raised my family here. I raised my children on my own, so I know what it's like in the tough times, and I know what it's like to struggle. But Wanganui's been pretty good to me, and I appreciate the opportunities that I've had to use my skills to give back to this place that we all call home. For many years, we struggled to be seen as a place, or it's actually seen in a positive light from the rest of New Zealand. That has now changed, and as we've seen in the paper this week, our population has grown by about 700 per annum for the last 5, if not 6 years. And unfortunately, we've had unintended consequences of that growth. And okay, so we moan about the traffic, but that's minor really when compared to the housing shortage that we're currently facing. As a local landlord, I keep my rents particularly low, but that's not the case of many others. Our rents are now exorbitant. And we all know how difficult it is now to get a home in Wanganui. And we are actually what I call at crisis point. And moving on from that, many of you, as James has mentioned, would have seen the renaissance of Castlecliff. And there were names like, myself, James, and Jamie Ward, who have done a great deal for Castlecliff. But that has been a community up approach. And we have got a lot more that we want to do out there. And we want to take that model throughout Wanganui. So I've got my fingers and toes crossed that we have more significant provincial growth fund announcements coming in the future. My understanding of the port application was very much around commerce and jobs and education and the environment as opposed to a play centre, but we read things differently. So tonight I'm asking for your vote so that I can do what I can to help serve this community. So thank you very, very much tonight.
Danny Lieber.
Kia ora, tēnā katoa katoa. I te whake o hoki raro ki ngā monga Appalachian, I whakaroa ho I te awa Passaic, no New Jersey a ho. I hunukua o Mawako Taku Hoa, tane Nelson Lebo, ki Aotearoa I te tō Rua Manu Mawaru. E toru na tamariki, ko Bertie, rato ko Manu, rato ko Topher. Ka tipua ki rato I raro ki ngā monga Rua Peito. Ka whangai te awa tupua o Wanganui ki a rato, no reira na mihi nui ki ngā tangata whenua o tēnei whenua. Ko Danny Lebo a ho, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So hi everyone, I'm Danny Lebo. I grew up in New Jersey, playing in the Appalachian Mountains and the Passaic River. I moved here to Aotearoa in 2008 with my husband Nelson Lebo, and our 3 children, Bertie, Manu, and Topher, will grow up here. They're 7, 4, and 1-year-old. So who am I? I think that's the most important thing to tell you all. I'm a really passionate and caring person with a really strong academic and professional background. My career thus far has prepared me to work collaboratively with people from all backgrounds and walks of life, and to work respectfully and treat people with dignity. I'm a trained teacher with a master's in international education. I've taught in New Zealand, in the US, and in Nicaragua. I also have experience in nonprofit management and currently run a small business called Eco School, based off of our farm on number 2 line. I'm really proud of the fact that I've built a successful business from nothing, from an idea, and now that business has become a leader in the forest school movement within New Zealand, with people coming from all over New Zealand and the world to train with us. I have a strong background in intercultural communication. I speak Spanish fluently and have been studying Te Reo Māori for the past 3 years. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to study Te Reo Māori, and it's been a really difficult thing to do with young children at home, coming into classes once a week and then twice a week, but it's been really fulfilling, and I really value the relationships and the learning that I've gained there. Probably most importantly, I'm a really hard worker, and I'm really dedicated to serving my community. I've been really involved in a large number of community projects since we moved here, and that's where my strength lies. I've got 3 focus areas that I'm bringing to council. Wanganui is a child-positive city, and so that goes beyond parks and recreation. It looks at how can our kids grow up in a community where they feel secure and supported and safe, and making sure that all of our children have a safe way to and from school and a safe place to play and learn. My second platform is local resilience. We should be making decisions for our community that protect and uplift our local tonga, and that tonga includes the environment, but also our local skills, making sure that we're future-proofing our city for future generations. All our council decisions should be made with long-term views in mind. My third platform is empowered citizens. I want to make sure that our council is doing everything they can to reach out into our community, and our community feels like their voices are heard and represented. We should work to create really valuable partnerships between businesses, organizations, and groups so that our services aren't being redundant. I'd like to see a local government that's transparent and equitable. I'd like Whanganui District Council to be making future-focused decisions with the goal of making Wanganui a place that our grandchildren feel comfortable and excited about living in. Kia ora.
Next up is Sitting Councillor Graham Young.
Evening all. Graham Young is my name, and I am a current councillor. I think it was very exciting this week when we saw the headline on the front page confirming the substantial increase in population. This is the first increase in the population of Wanganui in a very long time. The announcement confirmed what many of us have been observing. Each of us are probably aware of some of the new families which are now members of our community. From my perspective, I now have a neighbour, two immediate neighbours, one on the left that came from Auckland and another family that came from England. And I think all of us are aware that there are many examples how the increasing population is adding to the vitality of the city. Should the same rate, it should be noted, I think, that should the same rate of increase that has occurred over the last 4 years continue, then the figure of 60,000 promoted by the Beyond 2030 group some 3 years ago could well be achieved. My former role as a consulting engineer in Wanganui has provided me with the opportunity to be very familiar with all aspects of council's infrastructure. You will be aware that the infrastructure spend is a substantial component of council's expenditure. As a result, I consider that it is vital that there are people at governance level that are familiar with council's infrastructure assets. I can and will make a worthwhile contribution in that area. There is one other aspect of council's activity that I have taken a specific interest. This relates to the council's relationship with the forestry industry. And I think that all of us have seen what the forestry industry has achieved in a few years, and it would appear that in future the activity in that area is going to only increase. And I think from my experience of the council and the thing is that the consultation has not been that productive in the last 4 or 5 years, and I wish to see that improved. One of the most frustrating experiences of a new councillor is that many of the projects being undertaken have been decided and underway before the new council is in place. This restricts new councillors' input into these matters. From a ratepayer perspective, you can be reassured that I will do everything within my power to ensure that rates are maintained at a reasonable level, and that has been my aim for the last 3 years. I look forward to having the opportunity to make use of the experience gained during the past 3 years and seek your re-election. Thank you.
Our final candidate from the first group is Josh Jandador Mackay, who is also a sitting councillor.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you to the Wanganui Ratepayers Association, Great Power and the Wanganui Chronicle for putting on this event this evening. And thank you to all of you for being here tonight. I want to start first of all by thanking you for the opportunity to spend the last 3 years as a district councillor. For me, one of the most satisfying aspects of the 2016 to 19 council has been the collegiality and respect that has developed between the 13 of us over the last 3 years. I have a profound belief in the necessity for positive relationships, the value of diverse opinions and the need for respectful debate, particularly with those that we disagree with. And I need to acknowledge Mayor Hamish and my colleagues for helping to create this culture around the council table. This council has been a proactive one. We've been fortunate to experience record population growth over the last 3 years. We've responded to it by opening up land for new residential developments to address the growing demand for housing. We've focused on delivering inner city vibrancy through funding the Town Centre Regeneration Project. We've also taken advantage of central government funding, securing a total of $28 million towards the Sergeant Gallery redevelopment project. And we've enthusiastically supported the expansion of the International Commercial Pilot Academy. Council has begun working on climate change strategy, and this will be one of the most important pieces of work for the new council to undertake. The new council will need to continue investing in resilient infrastructure, consider the impacts of extreme weather on how we live, and consider how to protect the more isolated and vulnerable parts of our district. We need to continue focusing closely on housing. Our Housing New Zealand waiting list is numbered at 130 people approximately, and we need to continue lobbying central government to build more public housing in Wanganui. We also need to celebrate Wanganui as a welcoming, multicultural community that is vibrant and humming with diversity. We can do this by continuing to develop and grow events that celebrate our unique culture. Finally, one of the most rewarding aspects of my role has been to advocate on behalf of Wanganui residents. Whether it's working with a mobility scooter user to get a railing put up on a dangerous footpath, or simply helping someone to navigate complex council processes. This is a role of an elected representative, and it's one that I take very seriously. Outside of council, I'm Deputy Chair of Youth Services Trust Wanganui, a board trustee at St Anne's Catholic School, and an independent marriage and civil union celebrant. In 2016, I focused on commitment, and I said that council would be my priority. 3 years later, I have the highest attendance record of any sitting councillor. I really enjoy this role, and I hope you'll consider giving me your support again. Lord Ada, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
Thank you very much, Josh. Okay, that's our first half of the candidates. We don't have quite as many for the second half, but if you guys would like to make a graceful exit, we'll get these guys here up on stage, and we'll go through the same presentation process, and at the conclusion of that we will be having a short 10-minute break, and then it will be your chance to ask questions of all the candidates on the stage. We also have some questions that have been emailed into us as well, which we'll be asking as well. So we'll just wait for these guys to get settled, and then we'll start the second segment. Okay, so the first one up to do his 3-minute presentation will be Philip Rarity, otherwise known as Bear.
Good evening, folks. My name is Phil Rarity, nicknamed Bear. This is the second time I stood for District Council. 3 years ago, I came 30th out of 33. And I was quite happy to get 1,885 votes. This year, I get one, I'll be happy. So, why am I standing? Well, as you all know, you can read about it in the pamphlet, the one that you got, in your election vote forms, and most of the time you probably see it in the media, in the newspapers or on TV. I'm a political radical, and I'm quite proud of that, because the future of our kids and their kids and their future walking on us does not look good on this planet at all. Not only that, like I'm not really greedy, I'm not really greedy. I'm more or less a union man, and I believe in fair wages, and yeah, that sort of thing. I'll tell you a bit about myself. My mum and dad moved here. My dad came out of the Navy in 1959. My mother came out of the Army in 58 when I was born, over in Gisborne. Moved here in 1959, and they built their house in Egmont Street, Castlecliff. I've been here most of my life, apart from a few overseas trips to Australia and work. And I have 9 kids and 10 more. Just recently come from Wellington. I was in courts for the seabed mining. Now, seabed mining, that happens off the coast of the Wanganui Park here. All your fishermen out there, all your divers out there, say goodbye to a kaimawanga. Climate change, we can't fix it. It's going to happen. The future, in 100 or 200 years, the ozone is breaking, ice is melting, we have fires all around the world, got earthquakes, floods. So the only way we can fix it is pray, and pray hard, real hard. 45th, maybe 30 years time, or maybe 20 years time, I'll be worried about what the future is there. I had a vision 10 years ago. I heard from a guy McPherson. He said, in 100 years time, there'll be enough plastic in the ocean, you can walk from Castlecliff Beach to Sydney. And I'm quite, he's quite down to earth on that, and I think that's what's going to happen, and we all got to worry about that, but we'll be all up our by that. But it's the future of our children, and their children, and children after them. If I get on the council, which I'm, maybe half doubtful, I will try and fix what's happening in the council, and if the rates go up, they'll probably go up 100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just move that mic. Okay, our next candidate is Brent Crossan.
Good evening all. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Brent Crossan. I'd first like to start by just telling you a bit about myself. I was born and raised in Wanganui back in 81, where I attended Wanganui High School. When I was 17, I decided to leave the school to fulfill a childhood dream of mine, which was joining the military. I served 7 years in the military, including overseas operations. Upon leaving the military, I wanted to come back to Wanganui to continue my life where I gained employment with a local contracting company. In 2013, I thought it was my time to venture out and start my own business. I now have 2 companies which we employ around 25 staff. I decided to put my name forward for council as I love living here and raising my family, and would love to see our beautiful town continue to develop. If elected, I cannot promise you the world. What I can promise is that I work towards all the points I'm passionate about, and here are a few of them. Our town's population is growing quite rapidly, as we've heard from other people. To prepare for this, we need to start, prepare for the council at the moment is to start doing it, and we need to continue opening up more land for new houses. As we are running out of housing, and this is upping the rates, which people cannot afford, and some people are living in their cars and on people's couches. Although it might be difficult, it'd be good if we could keep the rates to bare minimum inflation. Our rates are already one of the highest in the country, and I think our ratepayers will see this money going to better use, and also having the opportunity to voice what percentage of this money is spent. I believe the port development will be a great asset to Wanganui, creating employment, economy, and bringing more tourism. I read social media and other articles, and there are a lot of ratepayers, myself included, that would like to see curbside recycling. The council should take this aboard and put it out to tender to try to provide us the best possible price. Yes, it may come at a cost, but we already cancel one another out. In conjunction with this, we should provide general waste bins and separate recycling bins side by side in all public areas. Our infrastructure needs to continue to develop to prevent it from failing as our town grows. Not just roads, stormwater, bridges, etc., but also our parks, walkways, bike tracks and other recreational activities. More and more electric cars are on our roads these days, and it'll be good to see us support those owners with a few more easy, accessible charging stations around the town for locals and tourists. It would be brilliant if we can encourage out-of-town businesses to set up in Wanganui to help build our economy. I will propose and support policies that will advance Wanganui into tomorrow. The council is a business and should be run like a business. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Sam Borley.
Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam Morley, for those of you who don't know. It's good to see so many of you have come along tonight, and I do look out and I recognise a few people that I've had the pleasure to talk to over the last couple of weeks. Now, I'm from Wanganui originally. I've been all over the place over the years, but for the last decade or so I've been living and working in Wanganui full time. I've been involved with the tourism and hospitality and manufacturing industries here. Most well known probably for being the owner of one of our heritage riverboats here. That's been for about 4 years now. Now, while I'm passionate about a range of topics, there are two that I'm going to speak to you about tonight. Firstly, I firmly believe that continued economic development and growth across all sectors is essential in generating much needed new employment here by increasing the number of and diversity of employment opportunities in our district. It will allow more of our young people and more of our people in general to get into a meaningful career rather than simply taking a job because they absolutely have to have one. This keeps the balance between the worker getting a fair deal and the employer having staff who are motivated and generally want to be there, which is always great for our productivity. More entities doing business here in Wanganui also increases the amount of commercial rates being paid, and indirectly lead to further population expansion, improved infrastructure, wider range of services, better infrastructure, and ultimately lessen the rate burden on the individual. Now, while some people might say I've turned being a workaholic into an art form, economic development is not the only thing I want to mention here tonight. Councils can bring together partners in the community and take that leadership role and give direction on the specific issues that we face as a city. We have such a diverse range of people, history, culture and experiences here in Wanganui, and it's very important that we keep advocating for, facilitating and funding our vital community services and our community support groups here, as we all rely on good public services to make the most out of Wanganui and to make it a place that we enjoy living in. To achieve maximum wellbeing for our community, we now have the four wellbeing: social, economic, environmental and cultural. And that's laid the foundation stone for helping us look at challenges ahead of us, carefully weighing all the facts and arguments against these considerations and deciding on a balanced solution that works for everybody. Now, maybe you decide to vote for in the coming weeks. It's most important that you do. Diversity of an elected body is essential, and that requires diversity of input from all corners of our district. So thank you very much. I'm Sam Morty. Let's get Wanganui on course. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Sharon Duff.
Kia ora koutou. Hello everybody, and thank you for coming tonight. It's lovely to see such a big crowd. Before I start, I just want to honour two people. One is my mum, who passed earlier this year, and also Sue Westwood, who always, we worked on many projects together, and she would be very happy to see me standing for council, so I wanted to honour those two people tonight. And also, I am going to talk about something a little bit different tonight. In a few days' time, on the 1st of October, it will be the United Nations International Day of Older People. So older people's needs that are for safe... Okay, I've got feedback. Thank you, Graham. Nice, yeah. Older people need safe, accessible housing that they can stay in all their days, and it's called really ageing in place. So as a council, we need to make sure that we have diverse and inclusive housing developments that meet the needs of all of our population. I've just done this, I've just moved into my garage and made an accessible house that is designed to last me forever, maybe. It's not easy to downsize. It's a challenge that's ahead of all of us. A couple of years ago, Sue Westwood and I introduced the idea that Wanganui become an age-friendly city, which is a World Health Organization accreditation. And this has been instigated by our council team, and they're doing an amazing job. So Graham Adams and Pat and Terry Cunniff, I've also worked with on presenting home safety seminars together. And so accessible, safe homes for everyone is achievable, and it's part of that age-friendly city which we want to have for Wanganui. An area that I've also worked in for many years is in the use of technology to make life easier as you get older. And I have to say that we are behind in New Zealand in this area. Many countries are much smarter at using technology and artificial intelligence and robots. And so I think that the council has a real opportunity in this area and the economic arm, and could work to make some gains, okay? Technology saves money and time, especially in health, and this is a huge growth area, and it has multiple funding streams. In the next 20 years, 1.2 million of New Zealanders will be over 65, living on a fixed income, and living on a fixed income is hard. So that is a nice segue onto rates, really. The most important thing in council is to be fiscally responsible as possible to keep rates down, because our population at the moment on average are only earning 47,000, and that does not count the people that are on low fixed incomes. So it's incredibly important that we address that issue. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Sharon Duff, and if you elect me, I will get busy.
Next up is Matt Edmonds.
I'm Edmonds. I don't know if... No, what do you, I don't know. How are you? This is not right. That's right. Not like I'm a stranger to a microphone, I can tell you. Wanganui is my home. I've raised a family here, I was born here, and I'm pretty passionate about it being an amazing place to live and be. It's interesting that there's been some talk about, there's a bit of surprise that Wanganui has suddenly become a bit of a darling to everybody. There's been a lot of people working closely on this, and I'm pretty pleased to say that I've been one of them. It's been a goal of mine that we have a city that is at the heart of a great region, and the rest of the country looks at us and really admires what we're up to. It's been quite a road to get to this point we're at now, where we've suddenly got a lot of stuff happening, but I think I'm really proud of what's going on at the moment. But I'll tell you about my background. I'm a business leader with a proven experience in both private, public, and both the private and the public sector. My expertise is governance. That's at board level. Running businesses, I've run my own, I've looked after other businesses. I've had direct contact with our council here. 2012, the government came to Chas Point as council and said we're very worried about the risk that your council is under. Risk in the form of business units. There were senior council officers, guys that worked for the council, that were looking after. They had so much risk on their plate, they didn't even know what they were looking at. So the government ID'd the fact that we needed to move and create a thing called the Whanganui District Council Holding Company, which was designed to take the risk out of council itself, put it on to people like yourself. And I was appointed as an independent director at that time. And we went into what was really an interesting situation. We found that we had an airport that didn't have CAA compliance. We were landing planes without it. We found a port that was dysfunctional at best. We found a gas company, Whanganui gas that had so much risk exposed to our ratepayers. If things had gone wrong, it would have bankrupted our town. These were serious bits and pieces, right? Thankfully, nothing happened. We managed to pull a lot of things together, get that underway. But for 12 years, I worked part of the holding company. Man, I'm going to have to fly through this. So what am I talking about offering? Basically, I'm a leader. Leadership is what we're offering here. Leadership around the board table, which is council. Council is a service provider. Let's not forget that. Really important that we focus on the stuff that is to be done. We're lucky in this respect. We're able to attract great people in this town now. We've got people like Kim Fell, we've got Mark Wood, we've got a thing called leading edge strategy that I want to implement. We're not going to talk. We're going to stop strategizing, we're going to start implementing. There's some really great things that are happening. I want to talk to some of you about this afterwards because I've got plenty to say, but let's go on. It's all on.
Our current sitting councillor, Helen Craig.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it's been a really exciting 6 years that I've been on council, and Wanganui is growing. And 6 years ago it was not growing. We've turned it around and we've worked really hard. And I'm proud to have been on council, and I'm very proud to be standing for another 3 years. It's been turned around because of really positive marketing and really good decision making at council. We are lean and we're mean, and we're making decisions that are really making a difference in this town. I've been Chair of Property Community Services and Town Centre Regeneration. My specialty knowledge is on the arts, heritage and the central business district. I have championed Wanganui to be the best it can be. Our history, our heritage, arts, events, sport, river, tourism, business and our very important farming sector are all very strong, and we are starting to lead the way in New Zealand, and New Zealand is starting to look at us and saying, what are they doing? We want to be like them. I've spearheaded the inaugural Heritage Month here, just finished the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards. We've got new murals, pop-up parks, heritage facades being restored, and now fairy lights are going up in our CBD. Main Street are doing a great job, and we're partnering with them. Finally, we're getting our nightlife in Wanganui sorted. And transit is expected to move their pick-up and drop-off spot to Taupo Key near the tram shed, so no longer in a dark, windy spot. So I'm very excited about that. We have new retailers. Our town is filling up because people want to be here. Young people want to move to Wanganui. I'm really proud also that I've worked for more funding for earthquake strengthening from central government, and have actually changed some of the legislation affecting earthquake strengthening. But with all of this growth comes our housing crisis that we've heard, and the vulnerable people are always affected. Council has a coordination role here. We must keep our council flats. We have already opened up new housing areas, and we are development friendly. Wanganui is ready for more business, more growth and more people. I'm working on a project for converting heritage buildings into apartments, and set up a charitable trust to spearhead that. But our youth still need more focus. We need to keep strong education, strong jobs, and I'd like to see a youth hub. We need places for our youth to go to, and I love the cycleways. We've got an 80% subsidy from government for that. Our Para State Highway falls in a shocking state, 4 sets of traffic lights at least, and I don't see NZTA fixing those. I'll be strongly lobbying government for that. We need that fixed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll give me your vote.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Kate Joplin and I'm a current district councillor. Pretty much we all want the same thing. We want to live where we're safe and where our community values us. We want suitable housing, a great physical environment with fit-for-purpose infrastructure. By that I mean access to clean water, roading, effective wastewater system, rubbish disposal and parks and great facilities. We also want stable and full employment and to be part of a community that is connected, a community that values everyone. Council can and must be a strong partner in maintaining and building this type of community. That said, Council should not be funding all of that activity, but it can play a serious role in pulling together and leading activity like economic development, improving physical environments, development of housing solutions. Leadership like this is not costly, it is all about approach. How should Council do this? First of all, Council needs to listen well to our community and listen to the experts. Secondly, we need to translate what we hear into our plans. Then we need to implement those plans. Hold the Council team to account and stay the course. Don't let those plans just gather dust. A good example of building a plan is the Council housing strategy. It has been very much my privilege to be the Council lead to get this plan in place. However, this is just the beginning. There is so much yet to be done. So what underpins all this? What about the money, honey? We do all this while we've got to be prudent with your money. And to keep rates as affordable as possible, we need to grow the rating base and attract central government funding as much as possible. So why me? As a candidate for your vote, I have experience as a chartered accountant, having built a successful business over a number of years. I've worked with community organisations, starting out with Gondal sub-branch of Plunket back in the 80s. I've done my time on school boards. I've worked with Sisters of Compassion, Sisters of St Joseph. I've done 11 years on the District Health Board, 7 of those as its chair. And the last 3, of course, have been as one of your district councillors. Before I finish, I just wanted to make a note or ask you to think about diversity, and a number of other speakers have talked about that. If we want a community that celebrates and is accepting of diversity, I put it to you that we need diversity around the council table. When you vote, please consider that. Thank you very much for your time. I offer your experience, vision and commitment. We have much to do. Thank you.
Another councillor, Rob Vincent.
Thank you. And thank you for coming out this evening. Quite a cold evening, and you're pretty brave. But Wanganui's got a new confidence. You know, property values, GDP, consumer spending, population growth, employment stats, they're all positive for Wanganui. Applications have been lodged to the Provincial Growth Fund for a $20 million port redevelopment, for a $15 million advanced aviation academy. Construction of the Sergeant Gallery is about to commence, and a town centre regeneration is planned for. So it's a time to consolidate. A key goal for me, if I'm re-elected, is to keep council focused on completing what it's already started. And most importantly, to achieve that within the planned budget. No cost overruns. 2 key issues that my fellow candidates are talking this election are housing and climate change. For me, these 2 important issues cannot be addressed without balancing them with rates affordability. It's not the ratepayers' responsibility to save the world. It's not the ratepayers' responsibility to solve issues that are the taxpayers' responsibility. It's not on to place matters on local council agendas that should be on central government agendas. These come at a cost. That does not mean that council should do nothing about climate change. Climate change is real, it's a scientific fact. But we must be realistic and adopt common sense solutions, not just feel-good rhetoric. An example I have heard, some suggest that council should change all their vehicles to electric. But to me, replacing $30,000 vehicles with $60,000 vehicles fails the ratepayer affordability test for me right now. Maybe in 5 years' time, it might be different. But these new sustainability initiatives will need new resourcing. How can we do it without imposing this on the ratepayer? Well, one way is we can sell the emission trading scheme units that we've retained from the forestry sale. This is $1 million, and this could go into a climate change fund. Council can also address the housing issues without burdening the ratepayer. And other councils have done this by partnering with organisations, non-profit organisations like Sisters of the Home Occupation, Accessible Properties, a division of the IFC, and Housing New Zealand. I believe that experience mixed with some new energy will deliver the balanced council that is best for Wanganui. What I can offer is I offer my council community and financial experience, and I look forward to your support.
And our final council candidate here tonight is Philippa Baker-Hogan.
I'm really excited to be here tonight, and although I'm your longest serving continuous councillor, okay Rob, and Wanganui certainly has its challenges. The mood and the feel of our district is vibrant, positive, and something I really want to champion forward. Yes, I really care about our critical housing issues, and I don't accept homelessness as a reality for Wanganui. In fact, if you check council minutes, you'll find I was a key mover in instigating urgent action and resources regarding the housing strategy. And I've been a strong advocate on the housing reference group. I pushed for an effective local alcohol policy, which we now have, and I've ensured that the poor communication that ultimately eventuated in the 10th liquor store within 500 metres sitting alongside a petrol station should never happen again, and in fact will be reviewed shortly. I protested on the street to stop psychoactive substances scourging our community, and I have a record of strongly scrutinising ratepayer funding and voting as required. However, sport is what I know best and I'm passionate about, and with your support I intend to champion its wide benefits, including a healthier community, jobs, widespread economic benefits, improved mental health, positive role models and reputation. I worked hard to ensure the sustainability of the New Zealand Masters Games as chair for the last 7 years. I founded the Billy Webb Challenge and the Mitre 10 Million Future Champions Trust to support our young sporting achievers. The key project that I pledged to deliver within 3 years is to roof the velodrome. We talked about things that we've started and not finished, but also to ensure it is a successful, large, open-air covered event centre, capable of holding large open-air sporting and non-sporting events and concerts. The Regional Velodrome Trust and Council are working closely with Sport New Zealand on final needs analysis to ensure we have their support to put our case to the Provincial Growth Fund to release the at least $6 million promised by successive governments and push the go on this project prior to the 2020 general election. The case to roof the velodrome as a regional asset is stronger than ever, with Wanganui having one of the fastest growing provincial economies in New Zealand, good climate, relatively affordable housing prices, quality schooling, hospital, airport and tertiary education opportunities to offer. Independent economic analysis predicts a 6% increase in visitors a year. That's 20,000 people. A net year present value of $112 million. That's 300 jobs. And just 2 to 4 years payback period. And positive net cash flow if it's operated and marketed well from year one. It's no longer a question of can we afford it, but rather can we not. And once again, waste a key asset and leaving up another opportunity to grow and prosper. These benefits will flow right through the community and help lift us from a Tier 3 to a Tier 2 city, provide jobs, retain our youth, sustain the city and strengthen our future. I've never been more excited and positive before. I respectfully seek your support to champion sport and recreation and the event centre velodrome to be completed. Let's do it, Wanganui. Kia kaha.
I hope you've enjoyed that first segment, which is all the candidates in their 3-minute spiel. Okay, what we'll do now is take a break for 5 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes max. We'll reconvene back here, and the next part is all about you guys, where you get a chance to ask any of the candidates a question or a group, and we will pick one of them to answer if you don't address it to anybody specifically. Okay, so we'll take a break for 10 minutes. See you back here soon.